I've come to the USA to report on a ban on transgender people in the military.
We will get transgender ideology the hell out of our military.
Officials say the Pentagon will immediately start to force out those who openly identify as transgender.
Transgenderism is not an actual thing. It's a mental dysfunction.
Just as I arrive, details are released.
You literally just texted me a couple of minutes ago. I haven't even clicked into it. Can you just tell me what it says?
The DoD just dropped all the new policy. We have 30 days to voluntarily separate where we get benefits. If you choose not to voluntarily separate in 30 days, then you will likely lose those benefits and get something other than an honorable discharge. I got to make this quick so I can get back to helping out a bunch of people on trans hotline for suicide prevention and stuff like that. That's right now. That's what's up.
President Trump does not think that transgender people are physically or mentally stable enough to serve in the armed forces.
Major Kara Corcoran served in combat in Afghanistan. Now, along with thousands of other trans service members in the US military, she's threatened with dishonorable discharge.
There's no way I am going to take some severance and voluntarily leave this military. And I want an officer to tell me to my face that I can't serve.
My name is Ray Timberlake. My pronouns are they and them, and I am a non-binary naval officer. Today is day one of the Trump Trans Ban 2.0. Last night they released an executive order basically saying that transgender Americans are unfit to serve, we're not medically ready, and directing DoD to look at ways to eliminate us from service, basically.
We will forge a society that is
In his inauguration speech, President Trump fulfilled campaign promises to end what he termed transgender lunacy.
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
A week later, transgender people were singled out in an executive order on military policy, which stated, expressing a false gender identity, divergent from an individual's sex, cannot satisfy the rigorous standards necessary for military service. The BBC asked the Department of Defence for access, but were declined. Contributors were filmed in their free time.
So basically for me, with this new ban, it's not likely that I will last another 2 months in the military.
Ray has been in the Navy for 17 years, and the family have moved multiple times. Now they have accepted a new post in Maryland that's nearer to their wife Lindsay's parents.
Okay. Can I hug and kiss? I love you. I love you too.
We are at Amelia's school. Bye, sweetie. Have a good day. She calls me Mama, and then she calls Lindsay Mommy.
Does she understand non-binary identity?
She understands that I am non-binary, and she understands that I use they and them pronouns. I think she doesn't understand what the big deal is about it. All right, let's move.
Ray and wife Lindsay are taking delivery of their possessions from their previous house in San Diego.
There's a box over there with paper in it that's empty.
It's like opening up Christmas presents, but you actually don't want any of them.
So I think there's a good chance that my uniforms are in here, some of them anyway.
Ray served in Asia and the Pacific and is now in public affairs.
So this is Navy service uniform. We just call it khakis because it's a khaki top and khaki trousers. This is my rank, these two, we call them railroad tracks. So I'm a lieutenant in 03. Here is my enlisted surface warfare specialist pin. I put in plenty of time at sea.
Why is this an issue that the American public as a whole, or a global audience as a whole, should care about and pay attention to?
I really believe it's like a concerted campaign to turn public opinion against transgender people and like signify them as like a villain or a boogeyman or something that's harmful to society.
Honey is a cheese girl.
Family full of cheeses. What are you gonna do?
I was gonna make everyone a little salad if you want. My mom makes this amazing homemade dressing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with herbs and everything. It's really good.
Tony is the kind of mom that used to make everything like from scratch, home cooked, to the point that like Lindsay didn't like have Doritos until she was like an adolescent, and then she came back and told her mom about it, and then her mom was horrified.
Yeah.
Said, "You're never going over there again."
Make our own. She used to make peanut butter. She used to make everything from scratch. It's really, really hard and painful to watch Ray lose their entire career that they've worked so hard for. To be perfectly honest, it's the emotional part of it that it's really painful. Because I watched Ray make choices deliberately to enhance their career that were sometimes harder for the family. And I know we'll be okay and we'll do the next right thing, but none of this is okay, you know?
Go, come on.
Kara is a major in a tank regiment. The Pentagon estimates there are 4,200 individuals with gender dysphoria on active duty. Trans officers have filled senior and specialist roles, including colonel and admiral.
In the back here, I got the power strip that's connected to there. I'll typically pull this stuff out and be able to do some cooking. I also have a tent that goes over this, so if there's mosquitoes or anything like that, I could keep stuff dry as well. Each one of these.
Kara currently lives on base in Fort Leavenworth. If she loses her job, she'll lose her home.
A couple weeks ago, I went and set my car back up, knowing that the increased likelihood of us getting kicked out of the military was extremely high. The timeline, unknown. And on top of here is an 8-gallon water tank for showers. So you fill that up with water, you use the air compressor, you pump it up, and you're able to take a shower out in the wild. If I have to leave the base, that's fine. At least I have somewhere to live.
Kara is staying in a neighbouring town for the weekend. She comes from a military family. She's currently estranged from them.
I was married. I had daughters on the way. It was a shock to them. And I could have done it better. I could have presented the information better and tried harder, but there's never really a good time to come out as trans. And when I came out to them, they were pretty devastated. I told them, if you vote a certain way, they're going to ban me from the Army. And I'm going to get kicked out of the military. And did not believe it.
So have you not spoken to your parents because they voted Trump?
Yeah.
Have they tried to be in touch?
I got this letter picked it up on my way here as I checked the mail. They don't get it.
Cara is now divorced, but supports her family financially. After 17 years in the military, she's currently completing a year of advanced military studies at Fort Leavenworth.
There is no rapid firing here at Park Woods. 3 seconds between each shot, please. 3 seconds.
Cara's peers will graduate into senior leadership roles. She doesn't know if she'll be able to graduate at all.
You know, I was allowed to transition and serve and do all that stuff and do my job. The Remington, the one with the scope, it's way off target here. You need to zero that one at 100 yards, not here.
Cara led troops during combat tours in Afghanistan, including close contact with the Taliban.
You can survive a lot if you can survive combat. And a lot of our veterans, you know, they survive combat. We teach them how to kill. But as one of my soldiers told me, ma'am, you taught us how to kill, but you didn't teach us how to deal with killing.
The Fort Leavenworth course accepts only the top 10% of military officers at Cara's rank.
How do you feel when you hear that transgender people are not fit to serve in the military?
I am now optimized in my performance and continuing to grow because you get better every single day. And that's what I'm here to do. That's why I come here. And so, yes, it is frustrating.
One of the things people have said is how much the military has to pay for army members to transition. What are your thoughts on that?
I can answer that really quick. When people talk to me about medical transition and how much they're paying and taxpayer dollars are paying, this is a grade 3 AC joint separation on my shoulder. At the same time of that injury, I was also offered the ability to transition and go get a surgery. I turned down both so I could deploy for my country. And the cost that would have taken to reconstruct this shoulder would have been 2 to 3 times as much as my surgery that I would have gotten for gender affirming care.
Cara did later have both shoulder and gender affirming surgery paid for by health insurance. A recent Gallup poll suggests that although support for openly transgender people serving in the military has fallen in recent years, still 58% of the US population favour it.
New tonight, a federal judge has blocked an executive order that bans transgender people from serving in the military.
In a case brought by trans advocacy groups, a federal judge ruled the government hadn't provided a legitimate reason for banning transgender troops.
After you all left me last time, I actually submitted my resignation because I was tired of kind of the uncertainty, and I really just wanted to take control of my life. Once you open Pandora's box, there are things you can't take back. Once you say you're throwing out thousands of qualified service members from their jobs, you can't just simply walk that back once you start that process. I want to get out of the Navy. I want to be done.
Ray has decided to take voluntary discharge in the hope that they'll be able to get a financial settlement. Now they're looking for a job.
Being in the military for 17 years, I'm used to wearing a uniform. I'm used to somebody telling me what to wear and when to show up. Stuff like that, how to write a resume. But yeah, it's intimidating. I sent an application to a job that looked like I would be perfect for that job because it's like what I've always done, right? And there were 800 applicants. And the job was just posted that day. It's rough out there for sure.
We've had record.
President Donald Trump and his defense secretary, Peter Hegseth's changes to the military have been supported by conservative commentators.
For the listening audience, you can see why Trump chose him. Here's a little bit from Pete on the woke military with Sean Ryan's SOT 7.
You got to fire the chairman of Joint Chiefs, and you got to fire this. I mean, obviously, you're going to bring in a new Secretary of Defense, but any general that was involved, general, admiral, whatever, that was involved in any of the DEI woke, it's got to go.
Well, welcome to America, I guess. That's the other side of the studios are in here.
Carl Higbee is a leading host on the right-wing cable channel Newsmax. As a former Navy SEAL, he regularly comments on military issues.
The Pentagon this week ordered the elimination of lower physical fitness standards for women in combat units, a move that is likely to hinder the recruitment and retention of women in particularly dangerous military
Wow. Come over here, we'll grab a coffee or a drink. Well, if there's decaf, I'll make it, but I won't drink it.
What's wrong with decaf?
Military guy. We're up very, very early. I'm a morning guy. So I came into work the other day, and I usually get here about an hour or two before my team. I had said, well, I've been to the gym. I sold a bunch of stock on something as soon as the markets opened, and I officiated a wedding. And they were like, I got up and came to work. So coffee is key for people like me. The problem with the transgender stuff, I don't view the transgender world as a dysphoria or anything. I view it as a mental illness because you are what you are. But the other thing is, when you're overseas, when you're in a combat zone, there's a lot of problems with the transgender treatment, such as you have to inject yourself with chemicals, you have to take pills, you have to do all these things, and you also have to force a number of other people to consider that beyond the considerations of combat training.
I suppose there could be lots of other service people taking medication, injections for multiple health conditions. So some might say, why draw a line at this particular type of medication?
If you are on certain types of medication that are certain qualifiers, you're not allowed in combat roles. For the longest time, women weren't allowed in combat. They weren't allowed on submarines. They weren't allowed in a lot of other places. And it wasn't a discrimination factor. It was simply because they didn't have the adequate tools to serve the mission.
Are you making an argument that perhaps women shouldn't have been allowed in those places?
I think there are certain times where we should be more concerned about killing bad guys than making sure that we have gender quotas on a combat operation.
The administration has now cancelled all military diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives.
I didn't realize how clear the water was over here. We're doing an Army nature walk known as a ruck march, where you put a bunch of weight on your back. It's to prepare yourself for combat-like conditions, something that as an infantry major or any other rank, you still need to maintain that capability.
Just being able to maintain holding it, because we've been in school for, me at least at this point now, 2 years.
Kara's friend Dallas was one of the first women in a combat role in the infantry. She fears that under the new administration, women in the military could lose the progress they've made.
My concern at this point, based on the rhetoric, is that there continues to be a belief that women are unable to do the job that is being asked of people in the military, specifically in combat arms. Regardless if the women meet the standard, it's not going to change.
In May, the Supreme Court announced its verdict. It allowed the Department of Defense policy to continue, whilst federal court challenges were ongoing.
Hey everyone, we do have a bit of breaking news to bring you out of our nation's capital.
Trump administration can now begin to discharge transgender service members who have served their country.
The Trump administration's ban on transgender troops from the U.S. military can take effect. Now remember, this was working its way through the federal courts, but the court now citing...
The Pentagon announced the ban would resume immediately.
No more pronouns. No more dudes in dresses. We're done with that.
It is 5 o'clock on 20 May 2025. We're less than 48 hours from graduation. I've been told that I can graduate on time, but I've now been directed that the only way I can cross the stage is if I am in the male standards, the male uniform, and that my hair and grooming standards are within the male standards. Even though my Deers marker and everything I own is female, I am female. I am female across the board. I am a transgender woman.
It's noon on the 21st of May, and I'm headed to my battle buddy of 20 years. I'm headed to his house right now. He's TY, and I'm going into his closet. I'm going to try on his male uniform so that I can walk across the stage tomorrow. Undignifying, disrespectful, un-American.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the School of Advanced Military Studies class of 2025 graduation and academic honors ceremony. Major Kara Cochran, Infantry.
I don't fault my immediate leadership or any of my instructors, because I know it wasn't coming from them. Absolutely denigrating to undignify a whole group of people who have served their country, who are just trying to do their job, who have earned their right to be there, who love this country. To have their country turn on them like this, you know, it's whatever.
No more distractions. No more electric tanks. No more gender confusion. No more climate change worship. We are laser focused on our mission of warfighting.